All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Shoot Fish Life's podcast. We've got a special guest here today. It's Jacob Tullis. You can find him on Instagram at JT18Fury.
Follow me.
You can say that louder so they can hear you.
Follow me.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you can find our podcast at shootfishlife.com on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and then if there's somewhere else that you listen to that we're not on, let me know. But we're going to talk about swan hunting. We've had some good swan hunting this year and last year. Well, I've only been twice and done 2 videos. Jacob's had good swan hunting. So we'll let him get started on how we started swan hunting.
I got my first Swan Tag when I was 8 years old. We really didn't know exactly what we were doing.
Still don't.
So anyways, we started... we'd just go up to like Bear River Bird Refuge.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
10 shell dike.
Yeah, you were only allowed to have 10 shells on you, period. Otherwise, you'd get a ticket. So we'd always have someone hauling butt back to the truck, going and getting us more shells because the swans weren't close enough, and it'd take quite a few shots before you actually dropped one. And then fast forward, I think I was 10 or 11 years old. My dad's employee or something, I can't remember if they were working with each other at the time. We all went out with a guide the one night, and this guide is making a weird swan call. He's going whoo whoo whoo. We're like, what is he doing? And it started working. So then after that night, we went ahead and started making our own decoys and doing the call, and we started shooting birds, getting birds into the decoys, and the rest is history.
We need to do a video on how to make those decoys.
Yes, we do.
And we can show you guys the fancy Tullis decoys. I mean, they're fancy.
Very fancy.
You know what, though? We'll get into that later probably, but I swear, on this last trip across from us was the guide, you said?
The same guide that I hunted with.
You're hunting spots?
All right. So backstory to hunting his spot. So we go out with this guide, and the guide swears that we're hunting private land. And we roll up to this pond, and my dad grew up hunting in this area. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to give it up. And we roll up to this pond, and my dad gets there, and he's like, I've hunted this pond before. And so we accessed the pond from on private land from the opposite side, but there's a WMA on the opposite side. It's a public pond.
He's entering from a private entrance.
Private entrance.
But you can just walk a little farther and get there from public.
Exactly.
Okay. I say, so when I looked on Onyx, I didn't even see the private part.
Yep.
But okay, so anyway, he had 40 full-size floaters out there.
Yep.
And we had, 4 to 5 dozen of
5 dozen
the
silhouettes.
Tullis specials.
Yep.
And we pulled more birds.
All day. And ever since we've
easy.
been doing this, we have always outshot that guide. Regardless. Every time I've gone out there, we've shot more birds than he has.
Sweet. So some information on swan hunting. You can only swan hunt in 8 states. Alaska, Montana, Nevada, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Virginia, and North Carolina. So there's not a lot of options to hunt swans.
No, but...
And some people don't like it, but...
In Alaska, that's what, I might move to Alaska here pretty soon, I'm hoping. But in Alaska, you can hunt or get 3 tags, but instead of like Utah where we have to draw for it, you just have to sign up for it.
Oh, really?
And you get 3 tags.
Because see, this my research just says every state it's a lottery thing, but I guess Alaska everything's different.
So in Alaska, there's only 3 units, and it's all on the West Coast.
Okay.
And for that unit, all you got to do is call the fishing game, be like, hey, I want to sign up for this tag. As far as I know, me and Uncle Norman, who lives in Alaska, we were researching it, and it's unit 18, 20, and 22, I think. Don't count me on that. But you can just sign up, and you can hunt 3 birds.
You need to move to Alaska and be a resident
I
so
know
that you
I
can
do.
take me on these
I
hunts.
know I do.
And then I wouldn't need a guide. What else I want to talk about before we get into stories? Best time to hunt swans. They migrate. The Utah DNR has been doing a survey from 1962 up until last year, and then decided to stop doing it because it's always consistent. The swans move in pretty much end October, 1st November, and they stay until end of November, start of December. And
There were swans out today, but
yeah, they'll stick around, especially with our weather we've been having.
Yeah.
We haven't been having
a weird year.
It's been weird couple years.
The best time to hunt swans, in my experience, has always been the first 2 weeks of November. After that, it slows down.
Yeah.
110%. In Utah, first 2 weeks of November are by far your best chance to kill a bird.
So you had 8 buddies this year with tags.
8 buddies,
You
yep.
filled 8 of them.
8 tags.
And that was all the first 2 weeks?
Let's see, I went out 3 times and we filled all 8 of them.
Never skunked.
Never skunked, nope.
And the year before, we got videos of both. Oh, I only got a video of 2 birds this year. And last year we got a video of 4 birds. But
4 birds. So last year in the video, we only started out with 2 tags. And my cousin Austin, he dropped the first one, or the second bird, and sailed over to these guys. And we're tagged out, and we go over. I talk to these guys. Hey, you guys want to come sit with us? And most people do. I do this a lot. As soon as we're tagged out, I'll go to the next group. Hey, you want to sit with us? But they said yeah, and they came over, and they're what made us kill 4 birds that night.
And they got 2 birds, 1 flock.
2 birds, 1 flock.
About landed on us when they came down.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go check it out.
Yeah, it's a good video. It's a very good video.
So those guys were actually from Velocity Rod and Reels, if I'm right, and they promised us a fishing trip, and we never took them up.
We still
on
haven't gotten it.
I know. Well, we haven't even called
We
them.
haven't even hit them up. Yeah.
I seen him at work one day, and I should have been like, "Hey, when we going fishing?" But if you listen to this, we still want to go fishing with you. So last year's hunt, you were out that morning before the video, though. And
Yep. I personally killed not my first swan, the first one of the season. It was our first trip out. Thinking about it, I think last year I only made 1 trip out and we were tagged out, I think.
Because how many did you fill that morning?
Just mine.
Oh, yours?
Yep. And then, I took Ray out to Bear River. And Bear River I don't care about.
Yeah. It's a refuge. Everybody knows the swans are at the refuge.
So I killed 1 tag, or failed 1 tag up there with my uncle. He killed his, shot a gorgeous bird. And I can't remember if that was before or after we filmed the video. We went out that morning. We filmed the video that night. I told my cousin Austin, he's the one who shot that giant bird.
Oh, what a good-looking bird.
Big yellow bird.
Yeah, we'll put a picture of that up if you're listening on YouTube. But I
told him he'd never killed swan. At this point, I'd killed 6 or 7, roughly. And I told him he gets first shot, And we get these birds coming in, and he pulls up, click, and I went, oh! And I shot and dropped my swan. I was kind of mad because I ended my season that early. It was just reaction, and I took it and dropped my swan. And then later that morning, I'm sitting there, and I'm calling, and we got this flock of swans coming in. I got my head down, just calling, and then here's this little cousin of mine. There's one landing in the decoys. There's one landing in the decoys. And I looked up, and I said, shoot it. And then I realized it was a snow goose.
Game over.
I freaked out like a little girl, and I shot it. I pond-pounded it. I'll admit it. My first ever snow goose that I've seen that close, and I got to shoot it. And then we went, grabbed lunch, warmed up, and then I hit Joe up, and I was like, hey, we're going to have a good shoot tonight, and you need to come film it. And at first he was like, yeah.
Do I have to?
Do I have to? Then I was like, dude, you won't regret it. And he came out.
Most popular swan video on YouTube. Yeah. Well, maybe not the most popular swan. Is it now?
The next one up is 1.2 million.
I thought the one that had like 20 birds had more.
It's only sitting at 1.2 or 1.4, and you're sitting at 3.4 mil right now.
Wow. So best swan video on YouTube.
Yep.
Or at least most viewed.
Yep.
Most of those are non-English, and go check the comments out if you know what their language is. Tell us what they say.
Yeah. They're probably cussing us out, honestly, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. And then this year's same thing. I kind of didn't want to go, but decided I better after what happened last year.
Yep.
And we've made a plan for next year. We're gonna try to shoot them with archery.
Yes.
Because
Got to look up.
It's almost too easy. Like we just hoot and holler at them, and they come in and we shoot with shotguns, and it's over. So let's kind of try archery.
Put a little twist on it. I got to check in a little more with the regulation, but I think we'll be good to go.
I swore you could hunt ducks archery equipment.
You can. It just depends on the area.
Oh, there's different areas. Yep. See, I don't even know that. That's why we got our professional guide here. So the biggest thing we've seen on our videos, at least from other Utah people, has been everybody saying our column's crap, and it might be. It's annoying.
Mine was a lot better before my balls dropped.
Now it's a lot. No, it's a lot deeper.
A lot deeper.
But
it still works, man. You know.
Well, there's proof that it works. You got 8 tags this year. We've got video of swans this year. Yeah. Videos last year.
I saw one of the comments on the video. I'm pretty sure you had seen it before me. This one guy was like, "You guys are calling too much. They're not coming in. That's why they're flaring." And me personally, swans. If you find a flock of swans that are on the water or in a field, you can almost go deaf because of it.
They're loud.
They're so vocal, and when they're in the air, they're vocal. Swans are always extremely vocal. And this guy commented, "Oh, you're calling too much. That's why they're flaring." I've called like that and had swans come in and literally fall asleep in the decoys.
They're flaring, but those guys got to remember that the camera guy, aka me, is not hiding in the reeds. I've got a big camera that's sitting on a tripod that's not camouflaged, that if the sun hits it, it glares. And I'm out. The only thing that's covered on me is my back, so I can try to get video. So if anything's flaring them, I'd say it'd be more me or the dog that's moving. Or, the calling, like you said, the birds are so loud that
you can hear them when they're in the air. It's just like tonight when Bruce and I were sitting there. We'd hear swans. Oh, they got to be close. They're still a mile away.
Yeah, forever. Well, and the other part that I think's funny is that, and the other guys were saying we're too loud, I think, was the other part. But a swan is loud, and we're calling with our natural voices. Yes, we're being loud, but you sit there and hone on a duck call. When ducks fly over you, you can barely hear them when they're above you. Yep. Ducks are quiet, but yet you use the call, and you're hell calling them or whatever. And some guys don't do that, but it's loud as crap. Yep. So what we're doing is more decibel level friendly, I guess.
So
than duck calling.
To me, the reason we're being so loud is if we were quiet, those swans wouldn't hear us over themselves. So you have to be loud.
They might come in anyway, but it's fun.
Exactly, but those swans aren't going to hear you. And as soon as you start calling, they're going to look, see the decoys, and make their way over. Yep. And granted, maybe they're just like geese. Some days you can call them all the way to the decoys. Other days they're call shy. So swans, in my opinion, always call them hard at the beginning, just like you do with geese. And then, depending on what the first flock does, if the first flock doesn't like it, then get their attention and then quit the calling a little bit. Still give them some hoots, but don't go all high and mighty. It just depends on the day. It really does.
Yeah. I think the other part that the guys watching the video don't realize is that we filled the swans out of the second flock that came in.
Yeah.
So I had to make the video a little longer. So while everybody was picking up decoys, I was just filming swans. Yep. They were flying around. So, of course, it looked like they're flaring because we're not even hunting them at that point.
This year, too, though, is the both swans we killed in the video were one flock. Everything was, boom, done,
Yeah. We didn't even get Danny's on video.
We'd been there for an hour, if that, by that point. And I went to the guy next door to ask him if he wanted to come sit with us and hunt with us, and he didn't have a tag, unfortunately.
Well, we'll get more people next year.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So is there any kind of calls? Like, I don't even know if there is an actual swan call you can blow in.
I have researched and I have not found a company that manufactures a Swan Call.
At least a Tundra.
At least a Tundra Swan Call, yeah.
Because, I mean, a trumpeter, you just take a trumpet. If you haven't heard a trumpeter trumpeter swan, it's pretty cool. We'll play that for you.
I actually saw some last night.
Did you?
Yep.
Coolest sounding thing when they're flying over you.
I have a video of one somewhere. I'll have to find it.
Yeah, I think Dad has one too. So we'll have to play that on when this gets edited.
They sound. The reason they're called a trumpeter is because they sound like a trumpet, like straight up. They don't sound like a good trumpet, but
it's cool.
It sounds like a 10-year-old figuring out how to play a trumpet. Is what it sounds like.
And then the mutes sound like Tundras, just a little quieter.
Yep. I've actually never seen a mute swan. I mean, maybe,
I've heard them.
Maybe I have, and I just haven't realized it. But I've never seen one shot. Nothing.
I haven't seen one shot, but I swear we've heard them when we've been out there.
We probably have, just haven't realized it.
I mean, that's kind of it for notes. Other than we can talk about we can BS, but decoys. We talked about. We'll make a video on our Tullis fancy decoys.
Oh yeah,
cardboard cutouts.
They're like cardboard, but they're
Coroplast.
Almost plastic. Yeah, I asked Dad the other night to see what kind of material they were made out of. He didn't even know. So
Coroplast. Yeah, it just tells you.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, it's Coroplast. Corrugated plastic, Coroplast.
Cool.
So then some guys are just taking white garbage bags, sticking them on stakes, and setting them out there. Have you tried that?
I haven't. My biggest dilemma with that is the risk of them blowing away. Like I've heard of guys using white balloons, you know. My biggest thing is, what if they start blowing away?
Yeah, blows away, and now you're just littering.
That could be, it wouldn't be devastating, but, you know.
Yeah, if enough guys are doing it, too, it could be.
Exactly.
So, cutouts, that's what we talked about. Floaters, I mean, I don't know what floaters cost, but I know what geese floaters cost.
Floaters, so swan floaters are even more expensive.
I'm sure.
For a 4-pack, you're looking at about $300 or $400
wow.
for a 4-pack of swan floaters. That's why we started making our own silhouettes.
And I
think they're more effective, honestly.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, there's got to be something to it. It's either the different look of the decoy or maybe our annoying calling. But there's something that Jacob's doing that's working better than other people, or it's working. I mean, like you said, we had the guide across from us a couple hundred yards. I think there was one other group that was hunting swans.
The thing about the guide, though, is that when the swans are coming in, they're heading towards the guide anyways, but we pull the swans. They're going, so here's the guide. We're sitting right here. The swans are coming this way, but instead of the swans going into him, they're coming and looping and coming into us.
Well, we didn't, and to make it clear, we didn't steal all the birds. You can only steal so many.
They'll kill like 1 to our 4.
Yeah. And they might only had 1 or 2 people out with them too. That's the other part of it. But even the ones that flew over them kind of just passed them by, which is natural.
They wouldn't lock wings or nothing, though.
So, pass shooting. I haven't done the pass shooting. Have you ever done the pass shooting?
I mean, I'd consider what we
did. I guess Bird River Refuge.
At Bear River. I'd consider that pass shooting for sure. Not as fun. Still fun. There's something about when a swan locks up on your decoys, and you can hear the wind going through a duck or goose decoys, but I kid you not, when a swan comes in and locks up and they get close enough to you, the air going through their wings sounds like a jet. It is so cool.
And he would know.
It is so cool. Yeah,
Air Force mechanic.
I'm a jet mechanic, so I would know.
Shells. I know you put. Do you have to use 3.5 shells on our notes? And I know you used to be always. I'm shooting 3.5.
3.5 triple BB T-shot, dude. No. So
does that change?
So I still shoot 3.5. There's a argument going on. Where people say, "Oh, you don't need 3.5," and you don't. My older brother Tyler, he's only ever shot swans with 3-inch shells. You know, he hasn't even bought a gun to this day that could fit 3.5-inch shells.
So A5 doesn't.
You don't need it. My first one I ever shot was with his Remington 870 with a 3-inch shell. I don't know what shot I was using, but I think personally, people say the BB's flattened out. I don't know if I believe it or not.
The BBs flatten out. What do you mean?
When they come out, so they say because there's too many of them that you're just, Anyway, it's stupid. Regardless of what you use, you can kill a swan. You just depends.
Well,
on
have you had somebody with a 20 gauge too?
Yep,
Kill one, Vanessa or somebody else?
Vanessa hasn't killed one yet. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, we have had someone shoot a swan with a 20 gauge.
So on that flattening out thing, because that's going to bug me. It doesn't make sense. It's a steel BB.
Yeah. So I
literally you're pushing them and
Yep.
your choking them so they're flattening, which inherently would be bad for your gun. Would be like shooting still shot of a full choke.
a lot of people, I guess. I've watched a few videos on it. I'm not too educated on it, but a lot of people right now are arguing that 3.5-inch shells are absolutely useless, which I don't agree with. If I'm hunting geese or if I'm hunting swans, I'm gonna have 3.5.
So I've shot geese with
If I have, even if it's just that little more gunpowder,
I'll have to look into that. 'Cause it just sounds off.
Yeah, I'm not educated on it enough, but 3.5-inch shells I think help you out a lot more. You don't need them.
You got more BBs.
Yeah, I think it helps you out a lot more. Because say swans, I have literally, even with my uncle's 10 gauge, have shot swans, and the BBs will literally bounce off.
And they'll keep flying like they never even got touched.
3.5-inch shells, I'd say are a go. 3-inch shells are a go. Whatever you're using is a go. One of these days, that's what I might do next year is try and shoot a swan with a 410. You know, just
that's asking a lot.
Dude, I can do it. I'm going to do it. Bet.
It better be dang close and headshot.
Bet. I'm going to do it.
I have a 410 you can use.
I'm going to buy one.
Oh, okay.
Another excuse to have a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, for videos.
Yep. Eating swans. Most people will tell you they are disgusting, just like most people will tell you duck are disgusting.
Well, everybody says something's disgusting. Antelope, deer, swans, turkey.
Yes. So swan are going to be a lot more greasy than your duck or your goose. My personal favorite way is to slow cook them in a like a pot roast, pretty much.
Anything's good when you do it that way.
Yeah, it's good. I've had people smoke them. That turned out all right, but I'd by far say is slow cooking them is going to be your best shot because they're very tough. They're a lot more tough than ducks are.
Well, no, like I said though, I think everybody thinks something's gross, and it's just if you're going to be a hunter, you need to be a meat eater.
Absolutely,
and learn to cook.
You should eat. You should eat everything you can,
or at least use,
or try.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're feeding it to your dog or not. You know, I've had a lot of buddies. Oh, duck is gross. Duck is gross. No, it's not. Y'all are cooking it wrong.
Yeah.
No, we're not. No, we're not. And I literally, one night, had 8 of my buddies come over after a duck hunt, and I cooked duck for them all. And you want to know what they said? That is delicious.
Yeah.
People just cook them wrong.
When I started, I cooked it like chicken because I figured it's a bird, and that's it was gross.
The biggest mistake,
like a steak.
Yeah, the biggest mistake people make is they'll tell you, almost everybody will tell you, duck tastes like mud. When it tastes like mud, you overcooked it.
Yeah.
Every time. You want to cook a duck or a swan or a goose. Goose you can overcook and it'll still be all right. But you want to cook it to like a medium rare, medium well. And all I put on ducks nowadays is salt and pepper.
I've just cooked them right in the pan and ate them right there.
I love it.
Fresh.
Love it.
Sweet. What else you want to talk about? I don't know how far we are because computer
repurposed decoys.
Off.
We didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah.
So
hold on. I just want to make sure it's still going. Okay.
So this past year,
repurposed.
I've bought a lot of goose decoys, and one of the guys that I bought goose decoys off, I bought almost all of mine because I don't know if y'all have noticed, but full body goose decoys are ridiculously expensive. So I bought
even used.
I have 15 dozen full body goose decoys now. Well, 16 dozen because I just bought another dozen. I have a bad habit. That's not a lot, but
that's a lot.
You
got to get a trailer.
But I bought some goose decoys off this guy, and he had some shells he was selling as well. He just threw them in with it. And some of the shells were your typical goose shell. And then other ones, he's actually where I learned about using balloons, white balloons, for swan decoys. But for these shell decoys, he would spray painted them white, and then he took styrofoam and put them around it, and then underneath the head took wire, and then he would just tie like a nut or a bolt to the string, and he'd use those as shell or swan floaters, and they worked. I tried them; they work. Another thing I've seen a lot of guys do is they get old floater goose decoys, and all they do, even new goose floater decoys, they'll take a white sock, because in my opinion, swans don't get hunted enough. So they're not as educated as ducks and geese. So you'll hear people say, "Oh, swans are stupid." Yeah, maybe. I just think they're uneducated.
Yeah. Anytime you don't get hunted as much as something else.
Exactly, because in most states they don't even get shot at. Mm-hmm. I've watched guys put white socks and then a garbage bag over the floaters, and with that, I'm all right with.
Because it's tied to something. It's not just going to blow away versus just a stick in the ground. So that makes sense. So you did, how many repurposed ones did you do? Right
now, I just kept the ones the guy gave me, or I bought. He just threw them in with the deal with the full bodies and the layout blind. I think I have like 24 shells with the white paint and the styrofoam around them. Sweet. And they work. I don't use them a lot, but they work for sure. North Carolina, I actually want to go.
So I was reading, was North Carolina... 5,000 permits a year in North Carolina, where most states are 1,000.
I think that's just because they're right there on the coast.
Yeah.
Maybe they get more than we do. I don't know. But most of the research I've done, and next year I do want to try field hunting for swans. But most of the videos I've watched and research I've done, almost all of the hunts they do in North Carolina are from a field.
Yeah, cornfield or just any field?
Where the birds are at. A lot of them look like they've still been green, like uncut. I don't know what time of year they hunt them out there. If you know, please let us know, and maybe I'll start putting in. But field hunting a swan, because I love field hunting. It's so much...
A lot nicer.
So much better.
Not everything's soaking wet.
Decoys are easier to set up and pick up. Field hunting a swan.
And you can lay in the middle of the decoys and then land on you.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that I've noticed in all these swan hunting videos is they're not in blinds. They're just sitting in a ditch.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, but there's something about popping up out of a layout blind and shooting stuff. It's amazing. There's a feeling, and not a lot of people understand this.
I don't. I haven't done a layout blind hunt yet.
There's just it's like the feeling when you pop up like out of the boat. Just the feeling you get. It's just a lot better because you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, the boat can be a pain.
Yeah,
it's nicer than hiking far deep in there, but
except when the boat battery dies and you have to push and pull the boat for 4 miles like we did tonight.
I didn't have to do that. I just had to fix it in the pitch black with no lights.
These new motors they have, I guess Bruce was telling me because he has a 35 horse hyperdrive.
Yeah,
and we have a 23 horse longtail. I guess the higher horsepower hyperdrives don't have a pull start on it because the compression is too high.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to pull
it. Yep. And I was like, well, why don't they? Because I don't know if you guys have ever duck hunted with a boat. There's a lot of people who have boat problems, and you would always think someone would come up with an idea to have a backup to start these motors, but Bruce's boat doesn't have backup, so we had to push and pull.
You can get the little battery packs that you can start a motor, and it wouldn't start it, or it was dead, or what?
I don't think it had enough juice. So there was a boat. So we were hunting right at the end of the ice tonight, and a boat came and broke through a little bit further and parked and then walked. And we're like, well, let's just pick up the decoys. And we didn't have a dog tonight, so the ducks we shot, we just let out, stay out on the ice if they were actually still dead. So we picked up the decoys, went and picked up the ducks. And we're like, well, let's just wait for these guys. It's a good thing we didn't because it took us about 2.5 hours to pull the boat all the way back. And we had just gotten the boat out of the water when these other guys pulled up. So we would have been waiting a long,
sitting there,
time.
And then they would have been able to help you anyway. I guess they had tried to tow you back, but
yeah.
No wonder you're late tonight. We were supposed to start this like 2 hours ago.
Yep. Montana. Apparently, Montana. I don't know if this is true or not. Montana has a trumpeter swan hunt. So in the state of Utah, after 10 trumpeter swans are killed, regardless if it's the end of the season, like it's closing day. So say 2 weeks before, there are 10 trumpeter swans killed total during season. The Utah swan hunt closes down.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Maybe because they're not as
abundant in the flyway
in here.
Say it's a different flyway on the other
Montana,
side of Montana.
Apparently, they have a trumpeter swan hunt, and I don't know. So swans are big, white, and beautiful, but trumpeters are bigger, wider, and more beautiful. I'd love to shoot one. And here in the state of Utah, it's not illegal. That's why after 10 are killed, because you really can't tell when they're flying unless you hear them. And trumpeters, they're not as vocal as tundras.
Yeah. I think only if they're by themselves is kind of what I've heard.
Man, shooting a big trumpeter swan would be like one of my dreams.
We'll start putting in for these tags.
I need to.
You act like you do something other than hunt. He just got back. Oh, yeah, like you've heard. He got back from hunting today, so him and his fancy duck hunting Sitka gear.
Yeah. They're expensive, but I think they're worth every dollar.
I've started buying a little better equipment, and better equipment's better than the cheap stuff.
I always grew up. That's another thing. Because when you hunt swans, it's always most of the time it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
And I always grew up. I'm wearing 3 layers on my bottom. I'm wearing 5 layers on top. Then I bought this Sitka, and back in the day I was always big puffy. I'd have problems bringing up my gun. With Sitka, I'm wearing less layers. And their stuff is thinner, and I don't know.
I went Badlands
every dollar.
And it's about the same.
I love Badlands too.
I went Badlands because I'm cheaper, and somebody I know gets a really good discount. So
yeah, I need to talk to him too.
So I think me and Jacob talked about this, and if you guys are in the area or if you're not, but if you put in for
even if you're a non-resident.
Yeah, if you put in for a Utah swan hunt and you draw the tag, we want you to hit us up. And depends how many people hit us up, but we'll draw your name to go on a swan hunt with us.
Even if I'm all right with taking a group out.
Yeah,
I'd be all right.
But if for some weird reason like 300 people, that's a third of the tags for the state.
See, I wouldn't doubt. See, and it blows my mind. Maybe it's just because I've figured it out, but. A lot of guys who hunt swans still eat tag soup, and it blows my mind.
I can't believe it. So I pulled this up. Let me see. What was it? 1,000 tags? I must have deleted it on accident.
You're 16. I'm pretty sure it was 1622 resident tags and 78 non-resident tags. Yeah.
What your odds are about 1 in 3.
1 in 3.
Or if you get 3 points, you're kind of guaranteed.
See, I've never drawn out with more than 1. I've always had 1 point and drawn.
Yeah, so every other year.
Every other year you have a decent chance. It might be every third year that you draw. But with the preference point system, I think, and swan hunting is getting very, very, very popular.
I think hunting in general is making a comeback.
Oh, definitely. So I think a lot of people are realizing why we're doing it. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think some people don't like the social media aspect of it, but they got to realize that the increase in people that are going to do it are going to help you fight for the rights and not lose the rights.
The market has been amazing.
Fishing too, and
the camaraderie you get from hunting is like you'll meet some a-holes out there that aren't willing to help you out. But it's just like how I met Bruce. He picked me up on his boat, and now we're hunting buddies,
Yeah.
You meet so many nice people and people who love doing what you love. And you get out there, enjoy public land, A lot of people from the east don't understand.
Yeah.
That
I've been learning that a lot, that we're pretty fortunate with our public land.
Oh, definitely. Well, most people... They think, public land sucks. No, dude. Let's get after it.
You just got to get on.
You got to realize what we have. A private land hunt to us is like a treat.
Yeah.
An absolute treat.
And it'd be a high fence, or not all private lands are high fence, but it's
you have better
odds. But you can have the same experience on public.
Well, it's just like I have a buddy. He kind of grew up hunting private land, and he was always killing stuff. I think that's why I appreciate hunting so much. It's because I've had to work for it.
Yeah.
And
when you don't fill, as long as you have the good experience, that's the thing. It's not about filling your tag.
He's had good experiences. He's shot more stuff. I can't say bigger bucks, but he shot turkeys and all these things. And he's like, I can't hunt public land. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not, man? You just got to put effort into it. And a lot of people don't realize, in my mind, I'm going to walk further than the next guy, and I'm going to shoot more ducks than he does, more swans. You know, I'm put in.
Or you get out when the weather's cold and icy.
More effort, and you're going to have a better shoot. Not always, but your odds of having a better shoot than the next guy is pretty up there.
Yeah.
Like Bruce calls me crazy for hiking 2 miles, and I'm like, 2 miles ain't nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, for us old fat guys, 2 miles is a lot.
It's not that bad. And the marsh is all flat land.
I know. Yeah, on the dike. Then you get in the mud and it's not so flat. It's like you might as well be climbing a hill when you sink.
Walking through the water is harder than hiking up a mountain, I think. One of my favorite posts I've seen is why go to the gym when he can hit the marsh. You know, I think so. It's January right now, and I think in the whole month of December I missed 4 days of duck hunting, and that's because one day I was pheasant hunting, and the other days like I took my grandma to church. And
Christmas.
Christmas. I should have gone on Christmas because we didn't wake up till like 10 o'clock anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, just get out there. You know, a lot of people, they'll show up and see all these people and be like, yeah.
You can get away from them.
You don't know what's going to, if you're not out there, you don't know what's going to happen.
You're not going to fill
it's just like these guys who pick up, there's nothing flying, pick up 2 hours before shooting light. How are you going to know if you're shooting birds? Yeah, you may not shoot birds, but how are you going to know if
I've sat out there and done better in the middle of the day.
Well, that's just like today. Today we shot all of our birds. I think we shot 2 birds in between 3 and 5 o'clock. The rest of our birds were from like 11 to noon. You know, the midday shoots this year at least have been phenomenal.
And you've done good. I mean, almost every time you've went out, you've sent them pictures of limits.
I've personally, I think I've shot close to 200 birds this year.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I put in a lot of time, and I haven't got skunked a lot. I think I've got skunked 3 or 4 times this year, which is pretty good. Yeah. But there's a lot of times I'll go out and I'll put in that extra effort and only shoot 1 or 2 birds. You just got to get out there and get the experience. You're not going to get better if you're not out there trying.
Well, especially Farmington Bay. Everybody says it's the worst.
Everybody says Farmington Bay.
It's because
I love it, man.
The most people can get there. It's the easiest to get to for a lot of people. But
well, it's just like you got to spend your time. You got to find where the birds are at, and it's just like a couple weeks back. So I took my little sister out. You know, she's not in the best shape. So I took her to an easy pond. Figured, you know, we might shoot a couple of birds. We'll be fine. I saw the most birds I've probably seen in a long time. And we're sitting in this little hole, and all the birds are going over here. So we picked up. She didn't want to. We picked up the decoys and moved over there. And if we wouldn't have moved, we wouldn't have shot any birds.
Yeah.
But anyways, the next day I hit up a couple of my buddies. Says, hey, I got a fire spot. I was hoping it'd be the same way. And in 2 hours, we shot a 3-man limit like it was nothing.
It's pretty good.
And that was only a half mile on the road. Got to put in your time and figure out where the birds are.
On that hunting with us thing, go to shootfishlife.com. Scroll down to the bottom. You can subscribe to the website, which means I can send you a newsletter, I think. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. I just set it up.
Got to figure out. The website's like 2 weeks old.
Yeah, we'll send you a newsletter out saying, you know, if you drew a Swan Tag, hit us up. Reply to the email, and then we'll make a list of people. And
with that, though, we're going to have to wait until the draw.
Right. But if they get signed up now and get I can get it out to
even
them.
if you guys want to come, just get the experience. Say, if you're new to hunting and just want the experience, I'll gladly, even if it's not a swan hunt, I'll gladly take you out just so you can get the experience, just to get you into it. People don't understand what they're missing out on.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, too, is if they want to come out and hunt, but they don't have shotgun, they don't have shells, we've got that stuff.
Have everything.
If you're not local, we've got a place you can stay. We can do everything but fly you here. Yep. We got somewhere you can stay. We got food. We got guns.
I got extra waders. I've bought 2 semi-automatic shotguns this year.
Just because you might not have the gear, don't let that stop you.
No.
We'd rather have you than somebody that has all the gear, to be honest.
That's one thing, the more I've grown up. See, I used to think, I've only shot 2 birds and everybody else limited out. You know, me now, I personally would rather watch people shoot birds. Take people out and watch them shoot birds. And watch them have the time of their lives.
Well, that's me. I have more fun videoing because I hit them all, but I have more fun videoing, I think, than I have hunting.
There's something about just taking. It's just like they did it for me too, but we take kids out on the youth waterfowl hunt, youth duck hunt every year. And the first year that I was ever not of age to hunt the youth hunt anymore, we took out a couple of my younger cousins, and my cousin was using single shot 20 gauge. Here comes this Drake mallard, and he drops it. Dude, I was more excited. I think I was more excited than when I shot my big buck.
Yeah.
You know, for him, and it's a Drake mallard.
Well, yeah.
You know, there's just I don't know.
Like when I was with Vanessa and she got her deer, I think that was a cooler feeling than when I shot my own deer.
Dude,
and
I need to get a camera and laptop and start doing my own. I don't know. People don't understand. I can't put it into words, but there's just something about getting out, enjoying the wildlife and nature. Like, I'll go out and not shoot a duck and still have the time of my life.
Yeah, if you're not having fun when you're not being successful, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, too.
Absolutely.
You can have just as much fun sitting there and not doing anything, just enjoy. I've been out there laying there because no birds are flying and laying on my back, and then you see, actually the coolest time I ever had duck hunting. I was laying there, no birds had come all day. I think it was about noon by now, thinking about picking up, and I see a couple birds start fly over. Didn't even grab the shotgun or nothing, just kind of enjoy that I seen them. And I had a tubular vortex. I don't know what you would call it, but
a swirl?
No, from as far as I could see north, going south was just like this tube. They were
of ducks. Wow.
Not close enough to shoot or anything, but just craziness.
I had that the other day. I was hunting out in Farmington Bay, and a lot of people, birds are out of Utah. There's not that many birds.
Yeah.
And I was seeing all these posts on Facebook. And I kid you not, I saw 40,000 birds that day. And
I bet there was that many in that vortex stream. And that's when I wish I had a video camera then.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. If you guys, I haven't started yet, but I've lived through it with Joe starting to film our hunts. Like, I'll be honest, I almost cried when I watched Vanessa's deer hunt because I wasn't there, and I was happy. But just even if you don't put it on YouTube, and I was listening to another podcast and they put it perfectly, even if you're not filming for other people, film for yourself. So that way later on.
Well, that's why I started. It was cool. My brother filmed a fishing trip of us, and it was cool to go and rewatch that. Yeah. I never thought people would actually want to watch.
It's like all these stories that I've been telling. You know, you think you'd remember all the effects, and you start talking about it, and it's like, what really happened?
Yeah.
And watching all these videos, you can be like, okay, yeah, he shot this bird for sure. I shot this, and you just relive the memories, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I don't know. Like I said, I can't put it into words. There's just a feeling you get from it.
It's good. We'll get more hunts coming next year.
Yeah, we need to.
You should have a good bow hunt coming up.
That is one thing I'm definitely getting cameras for.
I don't know if it'll be on my channel because I don't know if I can get that much time away from fishing.
So right now I have about a 95% chance to drop my limited entry archery bull elk tag, and luckily being in the military, I can take long extended time off. So I'm taking a month off and going to go chase this elk with my bow, and I'm gonna film it along the way.
It'd be sweet.
Take y'all along for the whole ride.
And I think you don't have an official channel yet, but what was it? If they want to look it up,
right? I have one video up. It's 18 seconds. It's of my Uncle Ray shooting his swan, just on my iPhone. It's called Salty Creek Outdoors right now. It'll probably change once I get going on it, once I come up with a better name.
And we'll let you know that better name is in the future if you stay watching. But for now, go check out Salty Creek Outdoors, subscribe so you can see the future stuff coming.
Yeah, I'll definitely, I'm definitely going to start filming next year. I've had so many hunts this year that I wish I would have had a camera. So many unreal things happened this year. I didn't. That's another thing. I feel like everyone should start holding a camera. You know, I've had so many experiences, like I was saying, that I wish I could rewatch.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why I started doing this. It's just cool to go back.
You're doing pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, kind of.
Typical Utah dude. And
yeah, our fishing sucks here unless you like trout.
yeah,
Our hunting's pretty good, but
everything's public.
Yeah,
almost everything.
Almost everything's public. There's very little private stuff, and it's usually pay a whole ton of money. And you're not getting anything better you can get somewhere else. You just don't have to work as hard.
Everything we do, I think that's what's awesome. Is everything we do is DIY.
Yeah,
you know, I've hunted with a guide once, and it was on that swan hunt, and that was just because I'm pretty sure my dad had worked for his employee's uncle or something, and that was like a payoff, you know.
Yeah. Well, I fished with a guide only because I became a guide, and you have to.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think we're gonna end this here, and we hope you enjoyed. We'll have Jacob on again.
Yeah, for sure.
Let us know what things you guys want to hear about. Make sure you go visit shootfishlife.com and sign up for that to win to come hunt with us. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming, Jacob. It's good to see you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Just smack the microphone.
Yep.
See you guys.